Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show, a post-game edition as Ohio State moves to 6-0 with the win over Illinois. Doug Lesmerises and Bill Landis with you. Landis, I think some interesting things to talk about. I thought this was sort of like a different style of game for Ohio State in a way that I find kind of interesting, and I'm going to compare college football games to podcasts in a moment. But I do want to run through some of the things that we thought Ohio State did really right in this 34-16 win against the number 17 team in the country. And again, we're in our chat with our Substack subscribers during the game. There's some frustration. There are maybe some things to be frustrated about, but it also is a reminder 15 years ago, Ohio State went on the road against the number 18 team in the country, coached by Brett Bielema, when they were number 1. And lost. They gave up a special teams kickoff return to open the game and just never got it rolling. And, this wasn't a night game at Illinois, Landis. We weren't there, but I don't think you take for granted a road win against a top 25 team.
No, certainly not when you win by this kind of margin either.
Yeah.
There are things to parse for sure. It wasn't Ohio State's A game, especially offensively. To not play your A game, go on the road and beat the number 17 team in the country by almost 20 points. I'm not saying it was the greatest game I ever saw. It certainly could have been worse, and it wasn't.
One thing that I think, again, is worth keeping in mind is sometimes it's hard to have a handle on Ohio State opponents. Mm-hmm. Alabama played at Missouri today, and Missouri had the ball at the end of the game. It was driving for what would have been an attempt at a tying field goal, down 27-24, and Bo Prabula kind of threw to a covered guy to the extent that another receiver on the play was jumping up and down, and he threw to a guy and threw a game-ending pick with 40 seconds left when they were near midfield. And Missouri blew that opportunity. But Bama gets a 3-point win at Missouri, and we just all have to be careful. We can't live in a world where Alabama goes on the road and gets a 3-point win at Missouri, where Missouri is marching down the field to try to tie the game in the last 30 seconds, and Ohio State is never in danger at Illinois, when I think Illinois and Missouri are basically the same. I think that is a very reasonable comparison. We cannot live in a world where that's a good win for Alabama and a frustrating win for Ohio State, and sometimes we are very on alert for those kind of things.
Well, I think it can be frustrating for Ohio State fans, right? They can be frustrated with how the Buckeyes played. I think from a national narrative perspective, sure. I don't know what people are saying about the Alabama game. But I think Ohio State fans are within their rights to watch the way this game played out and think to themselves, boy, that seemed more difficult than it needed to be. Because I think it was. But again, good teams win when they don't play their absolute best or even close to their absolute best, and Ohio State did.
I really am going to have a theory of the case here for you in a second. I'm going to see if you agree with it or not.
Okay.
Let's talk about some things that I think stood out for Ohio State. One is, we talked about it a lot on our pregame show. We do a pregame show almost every week on our Substack channel. If you guys want to check that out, billandougosu.substack.com. We do it 2 hours before the game when the injury report comes out. And the injury report came out at 10 a.m. this morning, and Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State slot corner, was on it. The result is Jermaine Matthews winds up playing slot corner for most of today, and Devin Sanchez, the 5-star true freshman, winds up playing outside for most of the day. And Jermaine Matthews tipped a pass early that led to an interception, and then forced a fumble on Luke Altmaier with a slot corner blitz later in the game. Mm-hmm. And Jermaine Matthews' playmaker remains something I think that you can't count on it necessarily every single game, but that guy's wired that way. Mm-hmm. And I really like him in the slot. It gets him a couple yards closer to the action, involved in the middle of the field, where if he tips a pass on the outside, what's going to happen here? He's all over the guy. It's tremendous coverage by Jermaine Matthews. And he tips the pass, and Peyton Pierce, because it's in the middle of the field, is there to intercept it. And then we've seen him come on corner blitzes before. When he's coming from the slot, he's that much closer to things and can make things happen. We can talk about Devin Sanchez in a second, but man, do I like Jermaine Matthews' playmaker, and man, do I like him inside.
He's really good inside. Yeah, there's a larger conversation to have there about that, but he played great in a fairly tough matchup. That interception, so he was in a good position I thought that was a pretty well thrown ball, and Jermaine like used his like trail hand, the hand was behind him to like stick it in there and punch the ball out, and it got knocked up in the air. And then the blitz was great. He had to like navigate around some traffic to get to that. It was pretty well done. I'm not surprised one bit that he got put like kind of closer to the ball and started making more plays. I think he's their most disruptive corner, right? Like not the most, maybe their most disruptive defensive back. If you want to talk about like getting your hands on the football and maybe some takeaways might come of that, right? Because it's not like Caleb Downs gets a bunch of takeaways. He does a lot of other stuff really well, but takeaways are not necessarily something that he does all that often. So it gave him a lot to consider moving forward, I think, with the way that he played in this game, and particularly in this matchup against this quarterback and these receivers and the way they like to operate. Like, it was always going to put whoever was playing nickel in a spot where they had to be good. And Jermaine Matthews was pretty good for most of this game.
Devin Sanchez on the outside. It felt like, they were just in their flow of their offense. Luke Altmaier's trying to take whatever is available, 1 read, 2 read, 3 read. I don't know that they're saying like, let's target the freshman, but I thought even the play.
They threw at him on the first play.
They did throw at him on the first play. I thought the ball in the end zone that was originally ruled a touchdown and then ruled not a touchdown because Justin Bowick was out of bounds, but they called Devin Sanchez per pass interference on that. I thought even that was an example of Devin Sanchez is right there. He gets his arm in between the receiver's arms as he's trying to make the catch. He got a little tug on the jersey, like as the play was happening, but I thought that was a freshman exactly in the right position and being physical at the point of attack in a way that almost like, I don't know, man, like I'd take it. And I thought it was a little bit emblematic. I thought Sanchez did that. And I thought all game, the Ohio State corners were just in guys' jerseys. And there was a lot of conversation with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt about like Davison McNosson is grabbing people. I actually think he's grabbing people maybe as much, but in a smarter way, which is why he's not getting as many calls this year. But
yeah, you're allowed to put your hands on guys.
So what he would do in the past, he would grab people as they were making breaks, like at the top of a route as they're making a break. He would grab somebody right when the official's looking at him. If you're running stride for stride with a guy and you're just getting up on him a little bit, I don't know. I think that might just be playing defensive back, or maybe it is against the rules. But if they don't call it, is it against the rules? So I thought it was like you just saw Ohio State DBs right on top of guys all game. And they still completed some passes, which I think is mostly a credit to Luke Altmaier. But it just was a reminder, I thought, of the physicality of the Ohio State corners. And again, you just like you don't ever almost see guys like running free. And you see other games, you just see guys, it's like, well, that was a breakdown. Well, that guy got smoked. Like, it's a regular occurrence in football. It doesn't seem to happen with Ohio State that much.
What was completed seemed to be primarily stuff in the middle of the field against zone, right? And I understand at times it can be like a little frustrating to see that happen, but when you are a zone defense, which Ohio State is, like sometimes like there's going to be areas to attack, and this is a veteran quarterback. Like, I'm not surprised that he found some places to complete some passes, but when they like tried to challenge Ohio State's corners like down the sideline, and like the kind of plays that I think can be almost like truly backbreaking, I thought that the DBs held up really well. And like everything can look like pass interference if you convince yourself of it, right? I thought a lot of the conversation about that was what's the right word for it? Stupid. But like like, oh, I wonder if that was a penalty. I wonder if that was a penalty. It's like, if you like watch football like one time, like you can do the same thing on the offensive line, right? Like that was a hold, that was a hold, that was a hold. Like, they're not going to call everything, and you're allowed to play physically. And like, did Davis and Igbenogson get away with 1 or 2? Probably. So did Illinois. There was a ball to Max Clare over the middle of the field where a safety was grabbing him around the hips before the ball got there, and nobody threw a penalty on it because guys should be allowed to play physically. And when DBs are allowed to play physically, especially Davis and Igbenogson, he's pretty hard to complete passes on. And Ohio State secondary generally is hard to complete passes on. And like even the ball in the end zone, I guess it was the right call. He did grab his jersey, but the receiver also like fully extended his arms and pushed Devin Sanchez away from him, right? I just kind of thought that was 2 guys battling for a ball, not dissimilar from the touchdown that Texas scored against Ohio State in the first game, where it's like they were fighting. He and Jermaine Matthews were fighting the whole way down the field, and the guy caught the ball, and no one threw a flag, and it was great. So like sometimes you'll get the benefit of the call and sometimes you won't, I guess. But I think the physicality, provided that it's played with like good positioning, which I thought it was, and more often than not, like turning your head, which I thought was okay. I think Ohio State's DBs will be on the right side of that more than they were last year.
Yeah. So I thought it was a good sign against a good passing attack, right? I mean, is that a reminder that like,
yeah, it is a good passing attack.
Luke Altmaier, Hank Beatty, like Luke Altmaier is a very composed, accurate. You talked a lot about the RPO game in our preview, and you saw that he wants to make those throws in the middle of the field. He's just very comfortable doing that. And so he averaged, I think, in the end, 5.6 yards per attempt. He winds up 30 of 44 for 248 yards. So that's pretty good. This is like a reminder again. The Washington Illinois game is going to be really interesting to get a read on both those teams. It's going to be really important to the Big Ten race. But again, this is a pretty competent Illinois passing attack, and I thought the way the Ohio State corners played was really good. I also want to ask you offensively. I want to ask you about your guy, Nate Roberts, the fullback, who we had been discussing all year. Wouldn't it be good to get a fullback? Because then if you have a fullback instead of a converted tight end who's a true freshman and doing something he's never done before, not only can he block, but you can hand him the ball. And then they handed the ball to Nate Roberts today as the fullback. And I guess he's learned how to run the ball since he got to Ohio State, which is
it was close. It was close, and he was standing up straight when he got to where he had to get to. So, like, I don't know. You're not going to convince me that a tight end should play fullback. That's what they're going to do, but like, I'm not going to agree with it.
There is too much standing up straight from Ohio State ball carriers when they hit a defensive player. Is it not? If it's not Bo Jackson, I thought Gus and Joel completely blew it on that, and I'm not 100% sure Nate Roberts got the first down on that call, and they were just like, it's a first down. They didn't know who had it because the offensive line pushed into the end zone. I don't think Gus knew where the ball was.
I didn't know where it was first either.
They didn't review it. They didn't show it. I swear I'm not sure he got it, but they tried it. And as much as you want to find them a fullback, it feels like they think maybe they found a fullback. This is what I think actually was the biggest thing offensively. And Ohio State did have this in the second half against Washington. They were only had 7-3 at the half, and they came out in the second half and went touchdown, field goal, touchdown on their first 3 drives. So like it's not like they hadn't been put in a spot before. But I thought for Illinois to come out and go down the field to open the second half on a 12-play, 75-yard drive that took up almost 5 minutes, and Ohio State gets the ball back, and that is right at a spot. It's like right at a spot. It's not the game's not in the balance, but that made it 20-10 Ohio State. And if Ohio State goes 3 and out there, or if Ohio State has a loose turnover right there, you are starting to approach the danger zone, right? If you let that happen. And instead, Ohio State goes 14 plays, 63 yards, 7 minutes and 52 seconds for a touchdown drive. And that, again, if you can want more big plays, you can want, that's take advantage of the explosive possibilities of this offense. That was a very professional drive to suck up half a quarter and extend it back to a 17-point lead that I thought was a test for Julian Sain on the offense, and they passed it.
Yeah, that drive also featured their only explosive play of the game. Because I want to give credit where it's due. Brandon Innes starts that with a nice kick return, 37 yards. And it's like, okay, here comes Ohio State. And then the first play, CJ Donaldson runs up Tegra Shabola's butt for a loss of 1.
Not fumble. I mean, it wasn't a fumble, but it was the biggest ball carrier butt collision at Ohio State since JT Barrett and AJ Alexander in the 2016 Michigan game. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Not quite the same stakes, but yes.
But it was a face on a butt. No doubt about it.
Yes. Born out of shocker, Ohio State ran the ball on first down. But anyway, on the second down, Julian Sain threw that nice ball down the seam to Max Clare for, I think, 22 yards. And that's their only play in the game for Ohio State of more than 20 yards. Wow. And then I kind of got rolling from there. And then also within that drive is the play where Jeremiah Smith gets hurt. And it's like, honestly, like if Jeremiah Smith gets hurt, he's on the sideline. You don't know what his status is. I think it's 2nd down and 7. if you would have said what's going to happen here, I'm going to be like, they're going to make sure Jeremiah's okay. They're going to run it twice and kick a field goal. And instead, they put 3 tight ends on the field. They got big. They ran it for 8 yards on a nice counter play with CJ Donaldson. Got a first down, got able to reset, continue the drive. JJ eventually came back. Everything was fine. But like I thought that drive was great, and that drive ending with a touchdown, no matter what it looked like, would have been a great response. But to have that happen in the midst of it and then still finish with a touchdown, I thought was, to use your word, like mature. I know you wrote about that a couple games ago. Like Ohio State's a pretty mature team that like doesn't flinch necessarily. I thought that was a pretty good moment to not flinch, because if you kick a field goal there, Illinois feels like it's won and very much in the game.
So the Saiyan ripped down the seam to Claire on the second play of that drive was huge. I thought the 3rd and 1, where this is before JJ got hurt, where Saiyan was flushed out to his right and hit Will Kazmarek on the move for a 7-yard gain on 3rd and 1. I thought that was huge. I thought the sneak, he checked that, right? Like 4th and 1, like he changes the play, and they're noting how there's a big gap in the defensive line there, and he sneaks it right where there is no Illinois defender. I thought that was a great play. And so that was like, again, execution in what, this is my big takeaway. Otherwise, I thought was a pretty ragged game.
Ragged's right.
And I thought, because I probably have 6 or 7 examples, and not even talking about all the 30-yard punts, where Ohio State, especially offensively, was just not as precise as it usually is. And one of those is, so they did have a play on the important touchdown drive where on 2nd and 7, you talked about that CJ Donaldson run when they ran it. It was Tegra and Daniels both pulled from the right side, and they both got guys. And Donaldson's not making anybody miss. And sometimes, like, if you get excited about Donaldson, it's just because there was a hole there and he got downhill and he hit it. And maybe that's all they tell him to do. He's not getting much on his own, but he hit that hole, and was it not a thing of beauty? I think Tegra got the guy like sort of on the left, and Daniels sort of took the inside guy, and then there's just a lane to hit an 8-yard gain. It makes you happy.
GT counter, my favorite play. Yeah. This, by the way, to your point about not being precise or whatever word you want to use, they're all apt. This has happened before. I was thinking during this game of the 2022 game against Iowa that Ohio State ended up winning like 54-10, I think it was. But early in that game, was like gifted short field position and settled for a field goal both times. And then Ryan Day afterward was almost talking about being put on a short field like it was a bad thing. Like you get thrown out of your rhythm. You're not expecting it, and then you have to figure out how to adjust to it. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just like, I just remember him talking about it.
Interesting.
So like Ohio State was on a short field 4 times in this game. They had 4 drives start from the 38 or closer. And like,
it's so crazy because we've talked about all year how Ohio State's been behind the 8 ball in field position, and they got gifted stuff today.
Yeah, and like they just didn't handle it well. Like I think you might have like all these ideas about what you want to do, because they even came out throwing a little bit right on the opening drive, but then you get put on these short fields. It's like, well, I guess we'll run it because we're like kind of already close to the end zone anyway. And then I just think you get. I'm not trying to make excuses, because I think there are some questions that need to be asked about play calling. You and I weren't there. We'll ask on Tuesday. But I think part of it is like game state putting Brian Hartline and Ryan Day like a little bit in between about what they felt like they should be calling, and then the result is the offense just does not look crisp really at any period during the game.
So they threw on 5 of their first 7 plays, and then they got in the red zone and went run, basically run. And we will talk about that. That's part of the raggedness to me. But I thought one of the things that showed up in the raggedness is on this drive, as you said, when JJ got hurt, they pull Max Clare and Austin Sareveld on this reverse to Jeremiah Smith, and they're both out in space, and they let a defensive back split them and tea kettle Jeremiah Smith, and he lands on his head, on his face, and you can see he wrenches his back. And I think if you run that play 100 times, I'm not sure how many times Claire and Sareveld let that dude split them, because it was like they weren't prepared for it, but somebody's got to take that. And I just thought that was an example of it to me, of like, it's a good play call. They're getting Jeremiah Smith the ball in creative ways. And then Max Clare, who continues to improve as a blocker, and Austin Serveld, who's about as solid as they come, just let a dude take out the feet of the best player in college football and flip him upside down. It's like, what was that?
Yeah, just a bust, right? Like I think I didn't go back and watch it to see what else was happening, but like my first blush of it was like Max Clare should have blocked the guy, because you can kind of see like Serveld like kind of peel off in a different direction, and then Clare tries to like turn around and go back to the guy. And I just think sometimes on those plays you get guys like that in space, and there's fewer guys there to block, or sometimes there's nobody there to block, and confusion can be born out of that. And I wonder if that's what happened there. Like they were expecting to get out there and have like a linebacker for Serveld and like a safety for Clare, and then like there's just a corner by himself. It's like,
yeah.
And so, like also too on run plays, it's like the idea is sort of like to make corners tackle. But yeah, if one of those, if they would have even put a finger on that corner, I think Jeremiah Smith probably would have scored on that play.
Yeah.
And then instead he gets almost taken out of the game.
So, all right. Other ragged things that I would assign to raggedness. The first drive shovel pass on third down after, again, and I think there can be some frustration from Ohio State fans here when they throw the ball down the field. They throw the ball on 5 of the first 7 plays to get down the field. Then Bo Jackson has a big run of 17 yards, and then they go run, shovel pass, field goal. The shovel pass just like didn't ever happen. I didn't even know that there was necessarily a missed block in there. It just felt like there was a linebacker right there for Clare.
That feels like a play. So like you see teams in the NFL, you see run that a lot in short yardage down on the red zone. Like the Eagles do that a decent amount. The Chiefs do it all the time. But I don't think you ever run it trying to get 4 yards. Like it was 3rd and 4, and they got 2. The thing that was puzzling for me is like they ran that, got 2, and then kicked, because that felt to me like a play you call on 3rd and 4, knowing you're going to go for it on 4th and whatever it is. So like I don't know where they were expecting Max Clare to like break through the hole and run for a 8-yard touchdown there. Like I don't know why that would be the thought process.
And then the other thing here is like, I say this all the time, but it's like you're in like kind of a do or die situation there, and you're putting the play on CJ Donaldson and Max Clare, because there's CJ Donaldson's in the game as sort of like a pitch option for Julian Sand. I don't know if that's just a for show pitch option, or if he actually could pitch that there on the read, or it's the shovel packs to Max Clare. And so Bo Jackson's not in the game on 3rd and 4 at the 10-yard line.
He get the carry on 2nd down though, didn't he?
He did get the carry on 2nd down, so I want to talk about that in a second. But like, why is he not in the game on 3rd down? It's not 3rd and short. Why is CJ Donaldson in the game on 3rd and 4?
Ball security.
You think that is a lingering concern for them with Bo Jackson?
Yes. Yeah. Because he supposedly fumbles in practice, I guess. I don't know. That's not. I'll like Austin and Berm talked about that, right? So like I'll give credit where it's due. Like they talked about that. He had the ball that he fumbled out, like almost out of the end zone in whatever game that was earlier this year, and then they did not like when he reached the ball over the goal line last week. So I don't know that they trust him with that.
But there's no so whatever that is, CJ Donaldson's not drawn anybody on the fake. I don't think he's threatening anybody there. And then you're going to shovel it inside to Max Clare. I think Carnell Tate's not even on the field, and Jeremiah Smith's out wide. So again, you have, I think, 3 potentially very dangerous offensive players, and you get down to a do or die situation on 3rd down at the 10-yard line, and none of the 3 are involved in the play.
Yeah.
I don't know what that plan is.
Yeah, I mean, you could run a version of that too, where like it's Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith with the ball in their hands. Like I don't mind a little short yardage red zone creativity. It's just a question of like, does the right person have the ball in his hands?
So some other ragged things. So they had like this swing pass where they lined up Jeremiah Smith in the backfield and then motioned, like he went out, and then Julian Sam threw in the swing pass and Jeremiah Smith wasn't even looking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was supposed to be.
Because Joel Klatt was like, well, maybe he was expecting a handoff. There was nobody in the backfield. There was nobody to hand the ball off to, which was among the things that I was like, what are Joel and Gus talking about? Did you get a lot of that today? Like, what are they talking about?
Not their best effort. Yeah, they are clearly very bored covering Ohio State. And then like they were just wrong about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
there was another instance when Joel Klatt's like, "Here we go, Ohio State's in its dime package," and like there's 3 linebackers on the field. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know, man. So there was that, and then they had the play where they completed a pass to Max Clare, but it was wiped out by a penalty because Max Clare and Jeremiah Smith both lined up on the line of scrimmage, and Jeremiah, since he covered him, Max Clare was then ineligible. That was
Did you know that was a loss of down? By the way, I didn't know that.
No, and it was like they didn't even loss. I didn't know that it was loss of down. No. Because then they showed it, like they said it, but then the score graphic was wrong for a little while. Yeah. They had the long completion to Jeremiah Smith for 33 yards that then was overturned on the review because the ball kind of did come out at the end, and I thought it was a catch. It's not a drop by Jeremiah Smith, but he's the best player in college football, and you figure like most of the time he probably squeezes that and doesn't let it pop out and make it even a question. The bad 2-minute drill at the end, it's like, we had sort of talked about this. Hey, like maybe they'll get some opportunities. So they got the ball back at the end of the first half with 105, and they just like ran 3 plays and punted it. Like they didn't come close to anything working there. They threw a screen on the first play of that drive, and you said that's a typical thing they do in that situation.
It is. If I could go back and tally up every 2-minute drill of the Ryan Day era, I bet the play they open with the most is some kind of screen. Yeah.
Okay. And then they had the throw to the end zone where Julian Sand was maybe looking for Carnell Tate to be ready for a back shoulder, and Tate was taking the route more into the end zone. And then they were talking to each other as they were coming off the field, and the broadcast reported they were talking to each other more on the sideline. And like, that's kind of a lot. So there was
another play action pass they called in the red zone where Carnell Tate and Max Clare ran into each other.
Oh yeah. Ran into each other. Right. So that's probably like 6 or 7 things where there's a lack of precision from the offense that I don't think we have seen or felt really this year at all. I think the main thing with the offense has been, hey, are they taking advantage of the deep shots when they're there? Why aren't they trying it more? But what they do is march down the field in a precise way. And this is just, they were a little loose today.
Yeah. I wonder, they were loose. They were not precise. And like, they kind of didn't have to be because they were the beneficiary of really good field position. So like that helped mask it a lot, clearly. I wonder if it were like a normal game, if they would have ever gotten shaken out of that a little bit. I'm not sure. But it was clunky. I don't think I would say Ohio State has played clunky in any game prior to this one, but their offense was definitely clunky in this game.
And then the other side of that is Illinois has 3 turnovers. Jermaine Matthews, the pick, that's Jermaine Matthews making a play. Jermaine Matthews, the strip sack, that's Jermaine Matthews making a play. The other fumble is the running back gets his leg bent back up underneath him, and he's like, oh my God! And he just drops the ball in excruciating pain, and Ohio State gets the ball as a first play of a drive. And then the punter went down to pick up a low snap and kneeled, and as Joel Klatt said, that's a good call. Like that's like a turnover. They lost. Illinois, like Ohio State gained 60 yards of field position on that because the guy kneeled down for a loss of 14 when it should have been a 45-yard punt. So that's 59 yards of field position. So like Ohio State. So I thought there's 2 things at play here. One is Illinois made mistakes. Like they got some bad breaks and also made mistakes. And it's a reminder of how perfect, this is a good Illinois team, but even a good team has to play almost perfect to have a chance against Ohio State. And on a day when Ohio State wasn't perfect, neither was the opponent, and the result's a 3-score game. Yeah.
And Illinois too is a team that like turnovers have been like baked into its success. They were one of the better turnover margin teams in the country because Luke Altmaier prior to today had not thrown an interception, and their defense was good at like punching the ball out and getting fumbles and stuff. So like Ohio State kind of flipped the script on them, like in a lot of ways by feasting on turnovers and really good field position in this game. But yeah, you could feel it. Like once the thing that was good was turning the interception and the fumble into touchdowns, right? They were on the short field 4 times, and like the punt on the kneel down punt only turned into a field goal. You could feel that fact that those turnovers turned into Ohio State touchdowns. Like you could feel the pressure on Illinois, like the need to be perfect, I think. And like to Illinois' credit, Luke Altmaier did make some throws, and but even like the first, I'm jumping the gun, like that first red zone stand, even the second one when they actually scored, like I felt like you could feel Illinois pressing. They just happened to crack through and get one on 4th down when they probably pulled their best trick play out of their bag, just so they could get a touchdown.
Somebody did that the other week. That's not the first time I've seen that play this year, where you hand off to somebody, then the guy you hand it off to does an option pitch.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I saw, last week, the week before too. Yeah.
I can't wait to see Nate Roberts do an option pitch to CJ Donaldson. That's just going to be Ohio State personified.
The best 1-yard run on 4th and 2 you've ever seen.
But listen, so Ohio State's first 8 possessions, 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 2 punts. One of the punts is off the screwed up 2-minute drive. So this is a good opponent on the road. That's pretty good. 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals on your first 8 drives. Like that. So again, like in the if you think I wish they would have done that, and there are things, of course there are. That's pretty effective, and taking advantage of things that Illinois handed to you is part of playing football. So I think in the end, I would give this Ohio State win an 8. I don't know if there are fans coming out of this with a 5, or that they're worried about something. I don't come out of this pinpointing things that it's that's going to get you. That's now that we can talk about punting.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's not my overwhelming takeaway from this. I think it's more about you know what? You went and played a pretty good team on the road, and you were never really in danger.
I think I mostly agree with you. I think that the thing that'll be hard for people to get over is what Illinois looked like against Indiana. But I just think you're going to drive yourself crazy doing that, because that was the worst I think Illinois could possibly play, and it was down to its 7th best defensive back in that game, and maybe the best Indiana could ever play. Yeah. It's teams. It's college football week to week. People bring different levels. Ohio State did not bring its best in this game and still won on the road. I think, in convincing fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a solid win for sure. But within the solid win, I do think you pick at some things a little bit. And for me, that's mostly a play calling question, I think. But
okay.
Otherwise, I don't know that there's a ton to nitpick.
So my point about this, comparing college football games to podcasts, is I do think sometimes you can get in a rhythm of being too perfect sometimes, and you're here's the rundown. Here's what we're going to talk about. We did everything right. That was a good show. And Ohio State through 5 games was here's what we do. Maybe you think we're not explosive enough, but it's all part of a plan. We're going to lean on the defense. The defense is impenetrable. Julian Sayin is poised and mature. We're getting Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate involved. All this is happening, and almost everything that you could question Ohio State about or ding Ohio State on is really they're doing it by choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think maturity and precision were 2 of the buzzwords through the first 5 games. This was a little ragged. And sometimes you just got to shake it out. And sometimes you have a ragged game and it's man, well, I'm sure glad that punter kneeled down. That sure helped us, man. I don't know what would have. I'm sure glad that guy got his leg ripped off and he just fumbled in pain. We really could have used that, because otherwise we weren't. And then maybe it prevented us from getting into a rhythm. Maybe it gifted us free yards. I don't know. But then you can, I don't think it's just Ryan Day is going to have stuff to yell at him about. I think you can just come out of it, and when you're ragged a little bit, then it reminds you that you don't have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And I think the reaction to ragged can be, all right, it's a reminder to ourselves that in the pursuit of perfection, hey, let's let her, let's have some crazy stuff happen sometimes. And so I'm not trying to silver lining this, but I thought it was a weird game that they won by 3 scores, and maybe it's they were like professionals, and today it was more like schoolyard ball. It was hey, Jeremiah, I'm going to throw you the ball. And Jeremiah's what? When's the ball coming? And then it's hey, Max and Austin, you blocked that guy. And it's whoops, we missed him. Watch out, Jeremiah. Flip. Sorry, you landed on your head. Just a little bit of that. And Bo Jackson got hurt and Jeremiah Smith got hurt. It's are we getting to the point where Doug is it's great that Bo Jackson and Jeremiah Smith got hurt. It's the best thing that could have happened to Ohio State. No, of course not. But it reminded everybody maybe that football's not easy, but also you don't have to be perfect to try to win it. I don't know. I am in favor of occasional ragged.
No, I think you have to experience with the assumption that it's going to come for you at some point because it comes for everybody.
Yes.
When it does, like you gotta win, and they did, right? Like
and comfortably, win comfortably,
comfortably, yeah. And frankly, like there might become a time where it's a little worse than this, especially like they were not very good on offense, or very crisp on crisp is probably the right word. I won't say good, crisp on offense. But the defense like bailed them out, right? Like there'll be games where maybe that doesn't happen. And it's a little more angsty, and you actually do find yourself in a game in the fourth quarter. Like all that stuff is going to come for this team. It's the stuff you have to get through if you want to try to win another national championship. So this just, I don't know, in some ways kind of felt like a box checked, right? Like they had not played sloppy might be too strong of a word, but like they have not had a game that really felt as like out of sorts as this one was, especially offensively. And they just kind of grinded their way through it, and it didn't look pretty. But they figured it out, and they won by almost 3 touchdowns. So, like, what is there really to be upset about?
And I really do think in the end, Illinois and Washington are both going to win at least 9 games, and Ohio State beat them both on the road.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to say it was a good crowd, but Fox turns down the crowd noise, so I won't be able to tell you.
Yeah, Fox. Wasn't it so weird when Bo Jackson scored? Well, let's talk about the call, but I actually want to talk about that play. The swing pass to Bo Jackson for a touchdown that was just followed by 12 seconds of silence. I don't know if Gus is confused sometimes. I don't know if he's tired of calling Ohio State touchdowns and refuses to acknowledge them. Because then when Illinois scores, he's like, look at Illinois. And then Ohio State scored, and he's like,
the comparison between his call when Bo Jackson actually scored and when Justin Bowick did not score, and it was clear he didn't score, was pretty jarring. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And then at the end, they're like, oh, by the way, after we kind of stumble through this game, the Big Ten is in its golden age and Ohio State's the best program in the country. But anyway, sorry, we screwed up the broadcast for 3 hours. I don't know. I do believe this.
Didn't people feel this with the Indiana game last year, right? Like that Gus was just like, Gus had no juice. It was a top 5 game and Gus had no juice. Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think you noted in the chat, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out for it. And people, I have talked about my relationship with Joel Klatt at times over the years. And by relationship, I mean I talked to him one time. But so we did the mock college football committee like 8 years ago, and they just took some glamour shots of us, and we just make a lovely college football couple. That's just all I'll say about that. Yeah. So I still think he's handsome, but I do think all these broadcasters doing podcasts during the week makes them less sharp on game day, and I'm not even joking.
No, they're talking too much. Yeah.
They're talking too much. Because back in the old days, if you're a broadcaster, all week you studied and watched film and talked to people and thought of all these brilliant things to say on Saturday. And now Joel's doing a show every day. And Kirk Herbstreit's doing a show. Plus he's doing NFL. And Greg McElroy's doing a show. And then you're saying all your good stuff on Tuesday. And then you get to the game on Saturday and it's like, oh man, Jeremiah Smith is good. It's like, what are we doing here? Did you study it all? So I don't think broadcasters should be podcasters. Leave the podcasting to the podcasters and get ready for Saturday. Yeah. And you can clip this out and play it and Joel can look at it.
I don't disagree. Yeah. I think there's been I used to really like the Fox broadcast, and maybe it's just oversaturation, but I think there's been a sharp decline in the quality.
And by the way, like if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I don't know, did Ohio State kind of muck around on Saturday? Northwestern just threw like a 50-yard touchdown pass in Happy Valley to go up 10-7 on Penn State.
Oh, my goodness. But UCLA is a juggernaut, though, so maybe.
Would UCLA win the SEC? Would UCLA win the SEC?
By the way, Indiana's beating Oregon.
UCLA would beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss is number 4 in the country. I'm
here for it.
Yeah,
they just dorked around with Washington State. That's a FCS team.
What a joke! What a bunch of mid jokers! Oh my God, it's just terrible. And like Penn State also. Penn State is playing like an SEC team this year. That frankly they are just like dorking around.
James Franklin is auditioning for the Florida job.
Northwestern has 1 receiver. Griffin Wild, and Penn State was just like, let's not cover him that play. And he got 5 yards behind the defense, and Preston Stone hit him in the hands in the end zone. And then Preston Stone is going like this to the Penn State.
Oh my God.
Preston Stone was throwing like 3 picks a game in September, and now he's going like this with the lead at State College. I can't hear you, Penn State. Look how orange my thumb is because I was eating Cheetos today.
Oh, nice.
You said you had play calling questions. What do you mean? What are the things that you are coming out of this most wondering about?
It's just the thing I feel like I've talked about. I've talked about like after the Texas game and the Washington game, and now this one. They run the ball too much. I don't know why they're running the ball so much. They have the 2 best receivers in college football and a really good young quarterback, and they are running the ball way, way too much. Like the first down, I didn't tally it up. I do when I do the rewatch, and I will again this week. Like, was the first down run rate after the first drive like 80%? I have no idea. Like the run pass stuff drives me crazy, and I think it drives a lot of fans crazy. Because you can convert 3rd and 6 when you have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, but why willingly put yourself in those situations? You are allowed to throw the ball in early downs. And for some reason, Ohio State just like doesn't do it. I guess like against Washington, like they eventually got to it in the second half, right? And I understand the Texas thing.
Yeah, and they did it against Minnesota. But that was like the let it rip game, and that was like it feels like now instead of a part of an ascension, it's more like a one-off. Like, let's let it rip at home at Minnesota and see what happens, and we'll go back to that playing this way on the road.
Right. So, and this just felt like I don't know, like a step back kind of. I get like Brian Hartline's doing this for the first time. He's going to have some growing pains. I want to have like a little bit of grace, I guess, with that when discussing it. But I just don't get it when they have the weapons that they have. Like managing the game and playing a certain style and wanting to shorten the game. I don't disagree with that idea offhand, but there's a way to accomplish that while still putting your offense on your best players. And like they don't seem to do that enough. And by that I also mean the receivers. So like the offensive line's played well. Like I get having confidence in your offensive line, but they're not super dynamic at running back outside of Bo Jackson. Like Bo Jackson looked like he was playing at like 75% today, if that. So so then why did you still come out and throw the ball before like the last couple of drives when it was in hand? Why did they throw the ball as much as they did or run the ball as much as they did? It remains puzzling to me. And I don't know if it's like working some stuff out because there were a lot of red zone plays. I don't know, but like even in the red zone, throw the ball more. Like I tallied up their first 10 red zone plays. It was 7 runs and 3 passes. Like, why? Why is that the case? I think that's the stuff that drives people crazy. It's like, oh, we ran the ball for 2 yards again. Yeah, I guess it's 3rd and 8.
You love the pass to Jeremiah Smith from like the 3-yard line for the touchdown, right? Whatever it was. He like he made the DB whiff with that.
Was a hell of a route. Yeah, I feel bad for that DB.
But that DB followed around all game.
I know. So what a chore. Yeah.
So that guy, Jaheim Clark, who apparently goes by Juice, wasn't even healthy at the Indiana game. He's only gotten back healthy since then. So he wasn't one of the guys that got hurt. But now with Xavier Scott out, like he's their best cover option. So that was interesting. And then to see he and Jeremiah get into it near the end of the game and get offsetting personal fouls. 7 targets.
Sorry. Well, the one thing that because I get teams play Ohio State in a way that makes it difficult to like go bombs away. That's not really what I'm talking about. This is a bad pass defense. It has been all year. And
Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah. And like it just didn't feel like Ohio State showed up like wanting to attack that. And it doesn't even have to be. I guess they like ran mesh a couple times, but like. Where are the opportunities for these guys who run like thoroughbreds to catch up all in the middle of the field and just like run by the defense, right? Like it doesn't. Why does every passing play have to be like, well, I guess Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate aren't open 40 yards down the field. I'll throw a check down to Max Clare or Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like there's too much of that.
Jeremiah Smith, 7 targets, 5 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. Carnell Tate, 7 targets, 4 catches for 41. Max Clare, 6 targets, 4 catches for 38. Bo Jackson, 3 targets, 2 catches for 20. Brandon Innes, 2 targets, 2 catches for 14. CJ Donaldson, 13 carries for 44, 3.4 yard average. Bo Jackson, 10 carries for 47, 4.7 yard average. Again, overall, 27 pass attempts, 37 rushing attempts for Ohio State. This was, I think to me, this was the first game where I really felt like some, you were clunky, just some like more questions about the play calling. that it was like, I don't like the flow of that. I don't know what, like, maybe
There's
more
no
of the
rhythm
run.
to it. There's no rhythm
Yeah.
to it, and it doesn't feel like iterative, like that they're setting stuff up. Like I wouldn't say the whole year's felt like that, but this game felt like that.
But then again, like when they needed it, that touchdown drive was really good. The first drive of the second half was really good. Even though it was kind of long, but like I thought, a couple times when Sayin had to get out of the pocket and throw, he did. I just thought
that third and one where he got like pressure in his face and got outside and just dumped it off the Kaczmarek was a really nice play. Yeah.
And it's just a reminder of all these things. It's like Joel Klass talking about, he thinks like Luke Montgomery's had an awesome year, right? And it's like Luke Montgomery got beat on that play. And there's pressure in Julian Sayin's face. And then Julian Sayin's like, all right, well, Luke Montgomery, you do your job 98% of the time. This one time you got beat, I'm going to bail you out. And I'm going to roll out of the pocket and hit a tight end on the move. And it was like just like a really good play. But I thought the rip down the seam, like to get that drive going, because as you said, they start off with the run at 2nd and long. And it just would have been so easy to miss that throw, right? We're going to hit the tight end down the seam, and it's you throw it a little high, you throw it a little low, whatever. And now it's 3rd and long. And instead, he puts it right on Max Claire's hands for a 20-yard gain. And it's just a reminder of, and I think part of the point you're making here is Julian Sayin is so on it that I don't think you want to take it for granted and be like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter if we get in 3rd and longs because or 2nd and longs or whatever, because like Sayin will just make the throw and make it all better. And it's like, well, that's a hell of a way to live, man.
Yeah, like those plays are going to arrive organically. You don't need to orchestrate more of those situations. Football's hard enough as it is. Yeah.
8 of 15 on 3rd down for Ohio State today. And again, I just thought like kind of a decent amount of them. I'll just see if I can find it. Just like tough 3rd downs, right? Didn't it feel like they were just there were just times in this game where it felt like Ohio State was in 3rd and 5 for no good reason.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, why are you doing that?
Right. I don't know. I wonder. Yeah, I'll be interested to look at the like all 22 and see what it looked like downfield, because it's hard to tell on TV. Or like if some of these runs were RPOs and the run was the right call and the run just didn't go where it needed to. Yeah.
So Ohio State, again, was 8 of 15 overall on 3rd down. They were 3 of 8 on 3rd and short, which is 1 to 4 yards. They did not have a 3rd and long, which is 9+ yards, which means they were 5 of 7 on 3rd and intermediate between 5 and 8 yards. And that's living in dangerous territory a little bit. You're 5 of 8 on all of those. And it just like that's what it felt like to me. Of like, oh, here they are again. I don't exactly know why they got here, because it just felt like the way they got here was with 2 average runs. When 2 average runs, that's how everybody else in the Big Ten plays. It's like, what did you do on 1st down? We handed it off to our average running back who got 2 yards. What'd you do on 2nd down? We handed it off to our average running back who got 3 yards. Yeah. It's like, okay, great. Now it's 3rd and 5. You better hope your quarterback can do something. And most of the time for Ohio State, they can. But I understand the choice to be patient and the choice to be mature and the choice to take what's given. But like, that doesn't seem like part of it. Well, we had to run it twice on the first 2 plays. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. And like for some teams, it makes sense. But like, how many times have we seen Ohio State get a free 8 yards on 1st down because their cornerback is terrified of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. So he's playing at the sticks. And like,
they got some free money outs on 3rd down today. Like that was a couple of their 3rd down conversions. Like, what's the play? It's like, I don't know, 12-yard out. It's like, man, couldn't you run that on 1st down?
Right. Because I think if you run it on 1st down, they're going to start playing up a little bit.
Right.
Because they don't want to keep giving it up, and then you throw it over their head. Yeah.
And you get some of this. But it's like you're just throwing it on 3rd down. So like an interesting game. I certainly and we certainly cannot live in this world, and this is not the world I'm living in. It's not like when the offense is going well, it's like, oh, that's Ryan Day calling the plays, and when the offense is like clunky, it's like, oh, that's Brian Hartline calling the plays. That's because that's not fair, and it's also not right. But I just really, to me, for the first time today, was the first time when I was like, like the art, right? There's the science. They're in the lab. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, post-practice, they are in the lab. They run everything in practice that they maybe want to run in the game. Then they watch it on film, see what worked, say, yes, we like this. No, we don't like this. And they gather the package of plays that they think they want to use on Saturday. And if they don't practice it effectively during the week, they really are probably not going to run it on Saturday. That's the lab. And they're in there together, right? Ryan Day's still putting on the lab coat and going in there. And then Saturday's the art. So, these are our 6 plays in this situation, but like, which one do you choose? How do you, as you said, you sort of like build off of things? We're going to do this in the first quarter to set this up for the third quarter. We're going to do this on first down to set this up for third down. And it felt like today was the day that was most lacking.
Yes. And I think, again, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but to restate what I said earlier about that 2022 Iowa game where they got put on a short field and like couldn't do much with it.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State doesn't script drives, but like they devise openers. They like things that can get them going and then like lean on a team. And I do wonder, it's like you got this handful of openers that you like, and then you look up, it's like, well, we're on the 28. Do we have to use it?
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I guess we'll just run it. And then like, well,
right
now it's 3rd and 7. So like I think they never got into a rhythm. Clearly, they never got into a rhythm. And Ohio State fans know what it looks like when they're in a play calling rhythm because it's fireworks.
And they often are.
Yeah, and they often are. But they were never in this game. And I in an odd way, I really do think being put on a short field had an impact on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like, hey, we had this really cool opener that was like an 18-yard pass to Carnell Tate, but we're at the 28. I guess we'll go to the Donaldson package.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. It's silly, but I think I bet if you talk to Ryan, I bet that Ryan Day says that. If he didn't say it post game, if he gets asked about play calling on Tuesday, I bet he says it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap up with punting. Their punting's not good.
Yeah, it hasn't been for 2 years.
So their first 3 punts were 39, 34, and 37. And then I think their longest punt was in the fourth quarter when they were trying to pin it inside the 20. And then this one actually had distance on it and went in the end zone. So this was from the 41-yard punt touchback. So a 21-yard net. So, but otherwise there's like,
but wasn't that punt return cool last week when they had Brandon Innes throw the ball to Lorenzo Styles and all the special team stuff was fixed? Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely like throwing a ball sideways on a punt could never go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you win. That's how you beat Michigan, is throwing a ball sideways on a punt, because there's no way that could ever go wrong and turn into a touchdown for the opponent. And they had 2 delay of games on punt because they were worried about like the protection, and then they just wound up. So like I think they took a 5-yard penalty before a 34-yard punt. It's like it's 29-yard net from where you were. What is happening here? And so this remains, I don't know what we're supposed to do anymore. It's like they're still young men. They are not fully formed adults. It is college football. It is not a professional sport. And to come on here and just rip the punter for the number 1 team in the country doesn't feel like what anybody is supposed to be doing. But shouldn't they be better at punting?
Yeah, again, it's the same thing, the same conversation we had about special teams. We were talking about Rob Keyes. It's like, we're not ripping Rob Keyes. We're ripping the idea of Rob Keyes. And we're ripping the idea of Joe McGuire and the idea of Jaden Fielding, which is like, you don't prioritize it. You're not out there pounding the pavement to get the absolute best in your kicking operation. And maybe it won't matter until it does. Until you're losing 20 yards of field position every time you punt, because you're punting 33 yards and the other guy's punting 53 yards. And it's going to matter when you're in an equal talent game. Now, I mean, the thing is, maybe they won't get in an equal talent game the whole year because they're the best team in the country. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe there won't ever be, but it's just odd. They weren't a good kicking team last year and won the national championship. So like,
isn't it weird to just watch punts and it'd be like, well, that wasn't 40. Was this one 40? Nope. Didn't get to 40. Because it feels like often other teams do get to 40.
And there was a time where Ohio State did it a lot. Like Ohio State special teams overall have never been like excellent in my time covering the team. But for most of Urban Meyer's tenure, the punt team was.
Yeah.
The punter was great and the gunners were awesome. And teams are routinely starting like inside their own 10-yard line.
And I will, I noted this in the thing I wrote on Substack on Friday night, which probably a lot of people didn't read because I put Brett Bielema on the headline, and everybody was like, "Oh, great! Oh, can't wait to pay for next month for Doug to write more Brett Bielema stories." Thanks, bro. But rewatching a little bit of that Ohio State loss at Wisconsin in 2010, when Ohio State gave up the opening kickoff for a touchdown, they had a graphic in that game as soon as they did that said like Ohio State special team woes, and they put it up like right under Tressel as he was walking down the sideline. And I think Ohio State at that point in that year, which was mid-October, I think had given up 3 total returns for touchdowns. I think 2 kickoff and 1 punt, and had 3 kicks blocked. I think 2 field goals and a punt. And that was Jim Tressel. That's like in everybody's heads, it's like the gold standard of Ohio State special teams is Jim Tressel. He emphasized it more than anybody. It's how he won games. And halfway through the year, they'd given up 3 return touchdowns and 3 blocks. And if we were talking about a special teams units that had given up 3 return touchdowns and 3 blocks, you and I wouldn't be talking about anything else.
That is true.
This isn't that.
Yeah. No, their kick coverage actually has been good. Bryce West made a really nice tackle today, and so did Garrett Stover running down on kick coverage. Like that part of their operation's been pretty good.
Penn State just took the lead against Northwestern with 1 minute left in the first half at home on a 4th down run. They're struggling. There's like, I wish my team would look better. And then there's like, hey, can you bounce back from the UCLA boss by maybe taking a Ole Miss was a 32-point favorite against Washington State today, won by 3. You know, it's like stuff happens.
Is Pitt the best college football team in Pennsylvania? They beat Florida State today. That's
true. And like we got like, is the state of Ohio going to get 2 of the 12 teams in the college football playoffs? Like Cincinnati's coming for you, brother. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Brendan Sorsby is going to like the Heisman ceremony is going to be Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, and Brendan Sorsby. And they can all carpool to New York together from Ohio.
Those jerks in the playoff committee better not give us a Cincinnati Ohio State playoff game, by the way.
Oh my God.
Like they gave us Indiana, Notre Dame because they're close to each other.
Yeah, no, we'd rather have Indiana go beat Alabama, right? Yeah. Not Indiana, Cincinnati. Cincinnati beating Alabama in the playoff. I'll call that right now. I will call that today. Kalen DeBoer has no answers for Brendan Sorsby. Scott Satterfield is going to coach the pants off of Kalen DeBoer in that game. Okay, that'll do it for this post-game show, and then we're going to do a second post-game show at around 11 o'clock tonight after the primetime game ends. Primarily, that's USC Michigan that we'll be keeping our eye on, but we want to talk about everything else going on in college football. Indiana, Oregon that's going on right now. Red River, Oklahoma, Texas that's going on right now. Maryland's giving Nebraska a game. Northwestern's giving Penn State a game. So we'll come back and do kind of a national college football show with the Big Ten Northern bent. You guys know what we do. But we certainly wanted to check in on the Ohio State Buckeyes, who remain number 1, 6-0. I mean, some people are saying, are they going to lose first place votes? That I think depending how the Indiana Oregon game goes, I mean that's
to who? Maybe like not to Miami. Miami's like best win just lost the Pitt.
No, I know. So it's like I mean, I told you Florida State was a freaking joke. I knew Florida State. I said that. I said that Alabama losing to Florida State was all about Alabama. It had nothing to do with that Florida State was good. I'll be curious how people react to the Oregon Indiana winner because those are 2 good teams, right? So I don't know. Meanwhile, again, Ohio State's best wins like Texas has no points in Red River right now. So I don't know.
By the way, Notre Dame is tied at 7 with NC State, who stinks.
Notre Dame style points. Notre Dame in a style point pursuit. So again, it's just a reminder. Like it's hard to be clicking in all cylinders every week, even if you're trying to make the playoff. All right. Thanks to you guys for being here. We'll see a bunch of you tonight for our second post-game show. For now, he's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was the Bill and Doug Show.